Okay, folks, we've got a very interesting and special guest on Cigar and Whiskey. It's our own rocker slash blues woman, Sass Jordan. Sass, thank you so much for calling in.
My pleasure. Do we get whiskey and cigars?
No, well, if you were here, yes, but no cigars. I don't smoke myself, so.
Yeah, cigar is a little intense.
Yeah.
It's a little intense. Some people love them. Me, not so much. No.
So, you were born in England, and from the factoids, your father took a post at one of the universities in Montreal.
Yep, St. George.
Yeah, and from that point, you started your career. You came to Canada at the age of 3, and you started playing officially around, what, 16?
No, I was about 14. It's so funny. I started my career at the age of 3.
Okay.
I started booking concerts. No. But I was 14. I was 14 when we first started. I don't know if probably towards the end of the age of 14 was when we started to do actual shows. But I mean, we're talking like tiny little backcountry type pubs and stuff. Mm-hmm. Not like, nothing. I mean, it was just the beginning.
Okay.
Yep.
And I know today the last album that we're going to be talking about is Sass Jordan Rebel Moon Blues. That was released through Stony Plain Records. But your career has been pretty much all over the place in regards to who you were playing with or being the first act to introduce. You mostly recorded songs, sang. I think you also play guitar, if I'm not mistaken. Bass. Well, that's even better. Yeah. You keep the band moving along at the proper pace.
The bass brings the pace.
Yeah.
Baby.
So you've been pushed by certain influencers in regards to the artists that you actually were listening to at the time. Any particular one that you could say was the biggest influence?
Well, it's changed. It changes over time, right? Because you change. So, and obviously the styles of music and what you get exposed to and learning more and all of those kinds of things. So, but when I was first listening to music, or popular music, so to speak, because, I never heard it before the age of 9. I'd never heard it because my parents listened exclusively to classical music, and I'd never realized that you could change the dial on the radio and a different type of music would come out. So there was that. So I didn't even hear, contemporary pop music, whatever style. I never heard jazz, I never heard blues, I never heard rock, I never heard pop, but none of it. And the very first thing I heard was the night they drove Old Dixie Down by the band, and it changed my life because I heard drums, I heard guitars. I was like, that's it. I want to do this. Mm-hmm. This is what I want to do. I want to do this. I told my mother. I was 9 years old. My mom, she never forgot. She would always remind me. Remember that day you came running to me and you said, I know what I want to do? And it didn't change from that moment on. But so the first stuff I started to listen to was it was like the record collections of friends, parents, or brothers and sisters, etc., stuff like that. But I mean, you want to talk about eclectic. Yeah, Nick, it was insane. So it would go, like, there was the Beatles, Jethro Tull, Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, Yes, Pink Floyd. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. It's like, early 70s. stuff, whatever was, Jimi Hendrix, and then there was all the soul stuff that I used to listen to, like Isaac Hayes, Chambers Brothers, Al Green. Then I was getting into Rufus and Shaka Khan, Rod Stewart and the Faces, Jeff Beck, Taj Mahal. It goes on. In other words, we could probably be here all day. We never get to the end of it. So basically, the thing with me is I love music. I love all genres, all types, every type of music. I will find something I enjoy in it, And so it's been difficult for me to stay in a certain genre myself, because I find that it's not boring, but it's not as interesting as moving on and trying a hybrid of this and a hybrid of that, I love music, and I hate to be squashed into one tiny little, box.
Yeah, there's nothing.
But that, I'm not sure that it's helped me that much as an artist, because, people, it's hard to follow somebody who's all over the place like a butterfly. But I don't really care. Baby.
Well, you stuck to your guns, and you decided to actually bring us a side that influenced the rock side of your persona with blues. Now, this new album, you have, I think the single that made quite a splash was The Key.
It seems to be, that's the only song I wrote on it.
Yeah, but the fact that you are covering some great ones are actually very stupendous is probably the best way of saying. Willie Dixon, Kevin Moore, Elmore James, Sonny Boy Williamson. I mean, these are all the greats. And even one that I actually enjoyed was Still Got the Blues, based on Gary Moore. Sad that he passed away so fast, but he left his mark, and he played with the greats, and so have you in the past. I mean, if we look at David Bowie here, when he passed away in 2018, you were part of the I don't want to say remembrance, but that's probably the best way to actually say it.
No, it's a band. It's a band called A Bowie Celebration, and it's led by Mike Garson, the keyboard player that played with Bowie for about 45 years. He's the guy that you hear on Aladdin Sane. I can't believe I can't think of it right now. Anyways, he put together a band of alumni, all people that played in different formations of Bowie's bands through the years. And so all the players, all the musicians are all Bowie alumni. And then he hires singers, different singers, because obviously Bowie's gone. So he hires different singers to do the singing. And he originally asked me to guest with Bowie Celebration when they came to Toronto in 2018. And so I went down, and that's the first time I met him. I went down and did a couple songs with them at the show in Toronto. Then next year, 2019, he asked me to come down and sing with them again in Toronto, and that was a couple of months later. He called me and he said, listen, I'm going to be doing this U.S. tour with Bowie Celebration in March through May of 2020. And I'd love you to join us on that as one of our, our key singers. And I'm like, well, why not? Because at that point, Rebel Moon Blues was going to come out in March. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I'm on tour, yada, yada, yada. Anyways. So, but I said to him at the same time, I go, but Mike, you're doing Europe first in January, and I want to go on that tour. And then he was going to Israel, and I'm like, I can't believe you're asking me to do the U.S. and Canada, but you're not asking me to do Europe and Israel. I'm completely pissed off. He goes, oh, Sass, I know, I understand. I'm so sorry, but I already booked these guys to do it, and I'm so sorry, and next time I'm going to ask you, blah, blah, blah. 3 months later, I get a call, and it's him, and he goes, Sass, could you do Israel with us after all? The guy that was going to do it just had to back out because something happened with his family. And I'm like, what? You got it. And I hung up, and I go, yay, I'm going to Israel because I've never been there before. I hang up the phone, and I think to myself, this is the weirdest thing, Yannick. I think to myself, I go, he's going to call me back and ask me to do the European one. I just feel it. I know it. Boom. 2 days later, phone. Sass, can you do the European one with us too? Because now we can't do that either.
Oh, wow.
So that's how I ended up. So, but this is what's so weird. It's 2020. So we do. It's all most of January, and then we're in Europe doing, like Germany and France and the UK and the Netherlands, Belgium, we're all over the place. And then we fly to Israel, and we do the 2 shows in Israel, in Tel Aviv and Haifa, and then we get back on the 3rd of February, get back to our respective homes. And the U.S. leg of the tour is starting. We have to go out for rehearsals. We have to fly to L.A. for rehearsals at the end of February, it was like February 27th or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, fly out, we do the rehearsals, we start doing the shows. We're about 2 weeks into the tour, and that's when the whole world shut down. It was supposed to be a 5-week tour.
Well, you did 2 out of 5, so really.
Isn't that crazy, though? And by the way, the day I flew home from that tour, I flew home from Seattle, Washington, which was at the time, it was like ground zero in the States. It was like where all the outbreaks were.
Yeah.
I flew home. It was March the 13th, the exact day that Rebel Moon Blues came out. Is that crazy?
Yeah, it is.
And now Rebel Moon Blues has been #1 on the Roots and Blues chart for 17 weeks.
That's for the Billboard count, right?
I don't know. It's called Roots and Blues. It's out of the States. They do charts.
17 weeks.
I don't know. You want to know something? Do you know how much attention I pay to charts? Absolutely zero. But when you've been #1 for 17 weeks, you go, holy stuff. Holy. Hello.
So, when you came, where did you fly back from Washington? Because from what I remember, I think you moved to the States a few years ago.
Oh, yeah. No. I lived in L.A. from 1990 to 1997, but I've lived in Canada since 1997.
Okay, and you're...
I've lived back in Canada. No, we were just on tour, and we were in Seattle.
Okay.
And we had to fly home from Seattle. We were supposed to do a show that night in Seattle, but needless to say, it was canceled, like everything else for everybody. Yeah.
So
I had to fly home. Yeah. Yep.
Currently, you're residing in which city? And you're married to one of the band members of The Who, if I remember correctly.
It's not The Who, it's The Guess Who.
Oh, my apologies.
I need you to guess who.
And now both for you guys, it's a musical family because you compose, you sing, you play, and so does your hubby. How have you been able to cope with the current world shutdown in regards to music? Because most players tend to have their lives part of gigs and touring, especially for new albums. So
absolutely.
So how have you been managing with the current lack of?
Well, yeah, I hear you. It's been, I mean, that's a loaded question because there's so much fantastic stuff that has happened because of this.
Yep.
At the same time, so much horrible stuff has happened because of this. You know, the type of personality that I am, I prefer to focus on stuff that makes me feel better and feel good because, you know, focusing on stuff that makes you feel like shit is just, it's not going to help anything. It doesn't help anything.
True.
You know, whereas if you're happy, if you can find a way to feel good, then that's definitely going to help. It's going to help people just by virtue of like feeling a little bit more uplifted. But anyways, so what I've been doing is I've been doing an awful lot of this, what we're doing right now. I have been talking more than humanly possible on thousands, it feels like, of podcasts. I don't know, I've just been talking to so many people. So many people want to talk about music and about life and stuff like that, which is wonderful because I enjoy it very much. Musically, I haven't been doing much, but I think it's really a good thing in a way because as an artist, it's, you know, it's like a field. You grow, you create, you grow stuff, you grow songs. They have to germinate inside you on some level. And so, you know, having all this time to think and reflect and talk and research and read and spend time in nature and spend so much time with, you know, your family. It's been pretty amazing because I haven't ever done this before. It's amazing. Cooking and listening to tons of other music because I have time to do that now and getting all kinds of inspiration and stuff like that. It's been phenomenal. I've actually had I've been very, very blessed and lucky that I've, you know, had such a good time during this. Well, because it's very, very difficult, you know, for everybody. And it's not like anybody's making any damn money.
They're trying to.
Including me, you know. I mean, I am.
A lot of artists are doing live digital concerts.
Oh yeah.
There's also tip money that you can do through, I can't remember the name of the site, but they basically log on and they sit for an hour and a half, and they ask for tips, and they also put their merchandise and they start saying, well, this is available. Tuba Skinny is a jazz group over in the U.S. out of Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken, and they started doing that through one of the biggest websites in regards to artist creation. So basically, they allowed people to actually sit in for X number of dollars or to give tips. And that's how some of them are actually doing it. Either that, or if they can do house parties, or especially along the blues lines, where they say, well, for X number of dollars, we can ensure a safe environment. It's going to be very intimate, and we can spend an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But
I think everybody needs to do exactly what, you know, they can do and what they want to do, and all of that. I think it's great that people are doing stuff like that.
Yeah. Now, when you were touring, how did you manage to cope to, so to speak, in regards to keeping sane and keeping healthy and keeping balanced keel while you were doing your touring?
Well, you know, that's so dependent on the individual and the circumstances at the time, because it is very challenging physically to tour. It's extremely challenging. That's why, you know, it's like it's a young man's game, so they say. But people like me, and I've been doing it ever since I was 14, so it's a way of life for me, and I've devised ways to survive, you know, through it all. Sometimes it's been more challenging than others, but I use all kinds of hacks, that I call them hacks, you know, that involve stuff that hard to describe, like energy medicine stuff and a lot of spirituality type of thing. That's very, very, very helpful because, to stay grounded and solid when you're constantly moving, it's a challenging thing. So you have to find the anchor. You have to find the part, an area in you that stays solid and grounded. And however you do that, where it's whatever works for the individual. And that's how I do it, and I know the types of things I can put in my body that work for my body and the types of things that don't. So that's helpful.
Okay. So
like
basically,
eating a bunch of shit, or yeah.
Basically, you keep well nourished, and you also use nutraceuticals to boost your energy levels and keep you on an even keel with a little bit of spiritual.
Did you say infoceuticals?
No, nutraceuticals.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's vitamins, minerals, the whole kit and caboodle.
I actually don't use that. I don't do that at all because I don't like to put anything into the body that doesn't come from food.
Okay.
Because the body isn't designed, as far as I'm concerned, the body's not designed to extract its vitamins and minerals from supplements that have been created by humans. That's not how the body normally processes those things. You have to give it the food. That's how the body's designed to extract it from the foods. Now, when the foods aren't available, that's when it gets tricky. But there's all kinds of fascinating stuff out there now, like where you can extract the frequency, the vibration of the food, and then transmit that into a glass of water and drink the water, and it's like you've consumed a bit of the food. It's wild. There's so much wild stuff out there right now. It's so exciting. Life is so exciting.
Now, speaking of exciting, everyone humanly possible tends to have a hobby. So, what's yours?
Reading and researching, pretty much. I mean, that's definitely, yeah. And writing. Reading, researching, and writing, and assembling and disseminating information, that kind of stuff. I'm fascinated by all that stuff. I love to do that, like write articles and blogs, and I do that for a lot of, I do that for people, but I don't, we don't say it's me. I just, I'll do it for somebody, and then we'll put their name on it or something.
And you mentioned that you played bass. Is there a particular...
I used to. I don't anymore. I stopped playing bass in 1980.
Oh.
I stopped playing bass last century. Oh my God! Can you believe it? That's how long ago that was. It was another damn century.
So from that you just maintained singing.
Yeah. I didn't want to lug the instrument around with me anymore, and all. I needed an amp, and it was way easier just to take my voice with me because it goes with me everywhere I go.
Pretty much.
But I will say this: it's much more of a sensitive instrument. It's much more vulnerable, and you have to take way better care of it than a bass.
Yeah. Basses can take punishment, but unfortunately voices tend to crack and have issues, especially with cold.
If you don't sleep well enough, if you don't have the right nutrition, just like you were saying, all of those things,
proper hydration
and then you
and so.
Sick. Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
This is pretty much the whole snit of the interview. When it comes to Rebel Moon Blues, which you released in 2020, March. Can we foresee the possibility of other blues music coming down the pipe?
That's the plan, my man.
Oh,
that is the plan. So, that's what that's what I want to do. We just have to, say it's got to get it organized, and it hasn't been possible to organize much in the past 5 months, as you can imagine. But, it's definitely, it's on the table for sure, yeah, because it's so much fun. And we are doing a show in September for I can't remember, is it the Toronto Blues and Jazz? I think that's what it's called, the Toronto Blues and Jazz. But what it is that we're doing the show at this place called Casa Loma in Toronto, which is this like castle thing, and we're doing a show in there, and it's filmed. It's going to be filmed, so there's no audience in the venue. There's no actual audience. There's just the people that are going to be filming it, and maybe a couple of VIPs so they can do their social distancing crap and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's filmed, and then it's going to be aired, I think, in December as part of this Toronto Dominion or something. Oh my God, I can't remember what the name of it is. Oh, that's embarrassing, Goldie.
That's okay. The information is on Google, and we'll be able to actually make sure.
Oh, it will be for sure. It'll be on the website. Yeah.
Now, that's going to be exciting. I can't wait to see that. No.
I know, it's going to be so cool because it's going to be me and Chris Cadell, Jimmy Reed, and Steve Mariner. So it's like it's acoustic. It's acoustic-ish.
Good old Steve goes where the action is. That's going to be a blast from the sound of it. Now, one last question before we finish the interview. It's a weird one, so brace yourself. What's your favorite dish?
Why is that weird? That's not weird. I thought you were going to say, which extraterrestrial race would you want to be scooped up by? Okay, what's my favorite food? That is almost as bad as asking me what my favorite music is, because you see, I don't have a favorite. I love food. I don't like meat.
Yeah, that's...
So it wouldn't... Yeah.
You became vegetarian because you didn't like the taste of meat, so...
I just don't like meat, I just don't like the taste. Exactly. I don't care if anyone else eats it. That's fine. It's just for me. I just don't... I don't like it.
But is there a dish that you actually gravitate towards more than once?
Yeah, there's tons, though. This is why I want to keep being... This is why I want to stay alive, Yannick, so I can try everything on the planet. Well, I like... Oh, boy. I can't think of anything. There's just so many things that I like, and I don't want to say one. And then, what do you like?
Me? Oh, I've got too many, but I still gravitate towards a good homemade roast pork, beef or chicken with turnips, potatoes, carrots, and with a flatbread that we call ploy from Madawaska County.
You call it ploy? How do you spell it?
Ploye.
Ploy.
Ploy.
Wow, I've never heard of that.
It's a buckwheat pancake. Basically, that's the best equivalent, and it's buckwheat flour mixed in with milk. I've tried almond milk. I've tried all the vegetarian options, but regular milk.
You need milk.
Regular milk tends to taste better, but then you add a little bit of baking soda, and then you boil hot water until it's steaming, and then you just pour it and mix it into a certain thickness, and then you start making your ploy on the hot griddle. And it looks like it's thinner than a pancake, and I know in not in France, but what's the name of the country? It's right next to Brussels. Belgium, thank you. In Belgium, they make something similar for soccer. It's a kind of a street food for soccer events, where they basically cook sausages, cut them in half, and then they roll them in
a batter? A flour? A
No,
batter?
they just roll them into made ploys. So basically, it's kind of a messy sandwich or a messy
Wow.
wrap. But I don't.
So interesting.
Yeah, but
Wow.
we tend to eat it. Well, myself, I tend to eat it with maple syrup and just margarine. But there are people that actually eat it with blackstrap molasses. They just sprinkle brown sugar on it, or they make
Oh,
desserts where you fill it with coconut whipped cream and your choice of fruits, and then there you go, or ice cream. So
okay, so it's usually used as a sweet. It's usually used as a sweet, not as
it's a bread replacement.
savory.
No, it's a bread replacement. It's used for both ends, savory and sweet. It all depends on what you want and how you use it.
I hear you. Yeah.
So
Je comprends, moi, là. Je comprends.
so now
Okay,
that I've
so
said
me,
this,
ay. Whoa, shit, sorry, when I think of me, I go like, rice and peas.
rice and beans. Well, there you go, folks.
Rice and peas,
Oh, peas.
Rice and peas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
rice and
peas. Des petits pois, là.
Des petits pois.
Des petits pois.
But
Aye.
Sass, thank you so much for giving me
I
your
had
time.
fun. I had fun. Thank you, Yannick.
The call-in was actually better than what I hoped for, because I didn't know if the quality of the call would actually come through. But your character came through stupendously.
Woohoo! Sounds wonderful. Okay, my dear. Well, you have a fantastic day. Say hi to your listeners for me.
I will, no problems.
And you take care.
I will.
Yannick?
Thank you.
Okay. Ciao for now.